Good morning, everyone. I am so happy to be joining you in this live meditation, which is hosted by the Healthy Minds Innovation. I am Dekila Chungyalpa. I head the Loka Initiative at the Center for Healthy Minds, which focuses on the science of well-being. And the Healthy Minds Innovation uses the neuroscience that comes out of the Center for Healthy Minds with contemplative traditions and learning methods to help us cultivate well-being on a personal level. I come from Sikkim in the Himalayas. I have been working with faith and indigenous leaders on environmental and climate issues for over 12 years. My background is environmental. I studied and worked in the field of international conservation and environmental protection for many years. So it will not surprise you, I hope, that we will be meditating on interdependence with nature today. Enough about me. I'd love to know more about you. So please drop a word about yourself in the chat box, which is, I believe, is it on this side? And what has brought you here to join us today? I'm so happy to be here in community with you for the next half hour. I understand there's a slight lag, so I will be reading out some of your comments, but give me a minute as I see what starts to trickle in. Oh, how lovely. Okay, we have, oh gosh, people coming from Sweden, from Denmark, Switzerland, a lot of Europe, Chicago, closer to home, Middleton, Brazil, California. Oh, it's so lovely to have all of you here with me. So I'm going to be leading a practice that begins with cultivating awareness of our interdependence with nature. And I will slowly transition us into a practice called Tonglen, which means giving and receiving in Tibetan. So this practice was given to me by His Holiness, the 17th Karmapa, who's the head of my lineage, the Karma Kagyu lineage of Tibetan Buddhism, during a time when I was experiencing deep grief and sadness about environmental and climate issues and what that meant for all life on Earth, including us humans. It helped me a great deal, continues to help me. So I hope for those of you who are here who are experiencing sadness or anxiety, it will help ease those symptoms. And for those of you who simply want a moment of peace to connect with nature, I hope it provides that as well. All right, so we are spread all over the world. We are reaching the end of winter for the Northern Hemisphere, but all of us are still struggling with the pandemic. I think we are experiencing anxiety, fear, a sense of loss. I think some of us are in mourning for loved ones, for companionship, a way of life, even going to our favorite restaurant. So this is a good moment for us to acknowledge all of those feelings and just let it settle in. It's okay to feel the way you do. And you are doing the best you can right now. If you need to put your hand on your chest or your belly, do so, because we're now going to start feeling our breath, right? So, hand on belly, deep breath in. And just be aware of the breath as it comes in, expands your chest, contracts your diaphragm. And I want you to slowly start pulling yourself up. Imagine there's a vertical line that's pulling you from inside. And so you're straightening your body, you're aligning yourself, and you're rooting yourself to the earth. So you might need to wiggle a little bit to get comfortable. But this is a good moment to do that. And then you relax a little. You let yourself just feel your body settle in. You're reminding yourself that your body is your home and you're comfortable here. So no uncomfortable erect position. You're expanding. You're embodying. If you have ever wondered where that word comes from, it actually means to have a soul invest in animate form. How cool is that? So we are embodying right now. So, as we stay with our breath for a few rounds, especially in the beginning of a meditation, your attention will drift a little bit. If you're like me, you have a list of things you have to do. And when it does that, you gently want to bring it back to your breath. It's like having a very beloved pet or having your wonderful 2-year-old, right? That you need to bring back to center. And you do it in the most gentle way possible, don't you? And so we have to inculcate that same kind of attitude towards our mind. No harshness, no, be tough, no tough love, no grow ups, none of those negative ways of addressing yourself. You are now as tender as you can be. And follow your breath. See where it goes in your body. And take a moment to notice the ground beneath you, whether you're sitting on a chair or you're several floors up in a building. Notice where your body touches the seat or the floor and how through that it continues to touch the earth. You are connected to the earth right now. You are rooted and grounded, and the earth is literally holding you up. Notice your incoming breath, the air entering your nostrils, your mouth, filling up your belly. All of that oxygen that's keeping you alive comes from the forest, the plankton, plants, algae, oceans, lakes, all around you, from far away. All over the planet. And so this is a good moment to pause and just think about where that separation is between you and the air you're breathing. Is there a separation? Are you alive if the air is not in your body? Isn't this interdependence? And isn't it the same with the water you drink, the clothes you wear, the food you eat, the house that shelters you? All of these things are provided unconditionally for us and all other living beings on this planet. How fortunate are we? So relax and allow yourself to accept the earth's compassion for you. We are mammals. So when we breathe in oxygen, when we breathe out, what do we breathe out? We breathe out carbon dioxide. And that nourishes other living beings, doesn't it? And so when you imagine these forests and oceans inhaling, imagine it happening as you exhale. And the forests and the oceans exhale as you inhale. All of us are breathing in tandem, receiving life as we inhale and offering life as we exhale. Whales, tigers, deer, wild rice, the Pacific, the Ganges, the Congo forest, everywhere. We are transferring energy and nutrients, and we are part of that effortless cycle of life. And we participate naturally as part of one vast ecosystem. This is interdependence. So, some of you will experience a great deal of gratitude right now, and some of you might feel grief or anger or pain for all the environmental and climate losses that are taking place. Whatever arises, it's a natural empathic response when you open up your heart and experience interdependence with nature and with the earth. The suffering comes from compassion, it is justified. For those of you who've come because you're feeling anxiety around climate or environmental issues, or because there's so much uncertainty in the air in the future, that is also justified. All of these experiences, all of these feelings are completely valid. And so take however long you need to acknowledge them and to honor those emotions. The trick is not to let them carry you away. So every time you start sinking in those thoughts and those emotions, I want you to gently, tenderly bring yourself back to your breathing. And so as you inhale, imagine you're breathing the earth's compassion. And when you exhale, you're breathing out gratitude. You are part of nature. You belong here. Nature heals you as you heal nature. If it helps, you can name the specific things you are grateful for. The way the wind feels in your hair, for example, when you're on a bike, the fact that spring is around the corner, a species you love, your compost pile, anything, right? Name them in your mind. If you want to share any of these in the chat, feel free to do that too. Sometimes it's wonderful to know what someone else is grateful for because it can trigger that sentiment in me. So I'd love to hear that. The earth provides so much energy to give us life and to keep us alive. It's a raw form of resilience. This will to live, to thrive, to have this ability to overcome obstacles, to heal, to take action. And so when you breathe in, you're breathing in resilience. And when you breathe out, you're breathing out gratitude. And so someone has exactly the same point of gratitude that I do, which is the slugs in our composter. People are mentioning the sunrise today, the soft moss and the wind between the pines, sunshine, gratitude for this meditation, smiles. You know, we are in interdependence with each other right now, right? We are just managing, just by sharing this, we are sharing gratitude with one another and calling to each other to remember what to be grateful for. And so now I'm going to take us through the Tonglen part of the meditation. And this is a little bit harder. So as we have thought about all these things we're grateful for, let's take a moment and just think about that thing that you prize the most in your connection with nature. You know, it could be a place, an animal, a river, a forest you went to as a child, a species, even the entire planet. And given the way things are right now around the world, we know none of these places are completely intact anymore, right? We see a lot of fragmentation, climate impacts, habitat change, species loss. So there is suffering there naturally. And for us, Tonglen is a really good practice to find a way to constructively deal with that loss and that grief that we feel when we imagine that. And so once you have this in your mind, from a place of gratitude and compassion and resilience, I want you to think about your personal desire to heal and care for this living entity, whether it's a forest ecosystem, an animal, a place. So give it the shape and texture it needs to be real in your mind. And from a motivation to alleviate suffering, I want you to imagine drawing out its distress. So when you inhale, you're drawing out its distress. And when you exhale, you are giving compassion. And sometimes it helps to imagine that suffering or the distress in the form of a fog or a vapor, so that when you inhale, you're imagining it in concrete terms. And similarly, when you exhale your compassion, you can imagine it in sort of rainbow colors, if you like. And so inhale, you take in the suffering. Exhale, you're offering resilience. Sometimes this can bring up fear or anxiety. You know, we get swept away by the emotion, or we worry that we are taking in some kind of harm. So if that feeling arises, just go back to paying attention to your breathing, flow with your breath. Think about how effortlessly the earth gives you compassion and resilience. And just focus on that cycle of gratitude. You can do Tonglen for as long as you feel comfortable. Taking in suffering, offering resilience. Taking in distress, offering compassion. Now let's try something. So now I want you to reverse the flow. And as you exhale, you're exhaling out resilience still. You're exhaling out compassion. But when you inhale, you're inhaling the earth's gratitude that you are alive, that you are here, and you are part of this vast interdependent ecosystem. And with each breath, you can set the intention to heal the world, to protect nature, to take care of that species you love, or help protect the river that you've mentioned in your mind, or the forest that you thought of. You are part of nature's marvel. You are part of nature, and the earth is holding you up. Great. So, as you emerge from this practice, note what it feels like in this moment in your mind to experience interdependence with nature and with the earth. Whenever you get overwhelmed today, make a commitment to remind yourself how this feels. Bring yourself back to this mental space. Feel free to put how you're feeling right now or what you're taking away from this meditation. I ended a couple of minutes early in case people have questions or there's something they want to talk about in the chat. But my prayer for you is that may this practice heal you, and through this, may it heal the earth. Thank you. Oh, so I'm loving the comments. So I'm just going to say there is one comment that I love. Oops, I just lost it. So, oh gosh, so many wonderful orangutans of Borneo. Sustenance, a lot of mention of sustenance. How beautiful. People making the decision to go on hikes. Yes, that's wonderful. Everyone find time to be in nature. 7 minutes is all you need. Your heart rate will slow down. Gift of daffodils, rebirth. Oh, how lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. It's been so lovely to be in community with all of you. I'm feeling very sustained myself, much more resilient than when I started. Oh, yes. And someone said, thank you for the concept of each of us being a nested soul, nested within the earth. It is most comforting. Yes, isn't it? Winter is a time for hibernation, and we are so out of whack with the seasons, right? And we actually, all of us as mammals, kind of need to curl in and be nested. This is lovely. And that's what our meditation practices are, mini moments of hibernation and being taken care of. Wonderful. Thank you. Oh, my favorite. Feeling more hopeful and encouraged about saving the other earth and all sentient beings from suffering. Oh, that's amazing. And someone said, thank you for the concept of Mother Earth for being grateful for me. And I think one of the hardest things about Anthropocene era and about, the language we use when we talk about climate and environmental issues is how much disgust, disdain, self-hatred it generates, right? So it's important for us to remember that as a species, the time that we've been on this planet is actually fairly long. And the time where we have been destroying the planet is basically a blip in that radar. And for the most part of our history, we've lived in harmony with nature. And we've understood that we are part of this ecosystem. So it's a very short time frame, which means it's completely reversible. And so, okay, that's my last environmental lecture. Yes. If we are one with nature, then taking care of nature is self-care. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you to the bees. Yes. They are responsible for 1/3 of all our crops all over the planet. I can't help myself, apparently. So thank you to the bees. And so as you go, remember you're breathing with the forest and the oceans today. Every day, but today you're aware of it and you're thankful. Okay. Take care, everybody. Tashidele.